Tefl-Dude here. Now, today, if you're watching this, it's obviously you want to know how to create aliases or symlinks because, like me, you only have 256 gig hard drive. Now, while I have a Mac Mini, this video is probably predominantly for those with the MacBook, because in my other video, which I'll put the link in the description above, I made a home folder externally on an external drive. This isn't about that. This is about just having an external hard drive. You just quickly want to put stuff on, like you want to pack a suitcase, and you want to put stuff there so you don't have to have it on your main drive. So I'm going to show you in this video only about folders, how to make symlinks or aliases with folders that you want to move to the hard drive. And that's because the video takes up a bit of time. And so my next video will be about like this, but how to move over applications and download them to the external and link them with symlinks or aliases. And I'll show you the benefits of that. So this is going to focus predominantly on Logic Pro, the version 12, and the GarageBand files where we need to move them out because they're very heavy. And towards the end, I'll just show you how quickly you can move your documents and download folders to the external, but they won't be symlinked. That's because you can't really do that with user folders. You can only do it with those folders inside the user folders, like the GarageBand and Logic from the music folder. But you know, if you have pictures or anything special within the pictures folder, if you have a special folder, that you can symlink. So this is predominantly for that. So I show you how to move the music folders and make symlinks that work, and show you how different it is from Logic Pro 11, where it would do it for you. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video, and let's move on to making folders. Okay, now the first thing we have to do is sort out some settings. Now I can't see the hard drive. I can see this is my external drive, which is all very nice. I've plugged it in, but I can't see the hard drive that I'm moving the files from. So go to Finder and Settings. You may have already done this. Click on Hard Disks, and there you can see my Macintosh hard drive. In addition, before we leave this window, go to the sidebar, and you need to turn on the movies, the music, and the pictures, particularly because we're going to be moving music files over, and it's much quicker to get them if they're in the sidebar already. And that's all we have to do here. Now, I'm going to double click on these folders, and they are going to be, on the left hand side is going to be my internal, and on the right hand side is going to be the external, just so that you can keep track of where we are and which folder we're in. Now, just in case you forget whether we're in the the external or the internal, it's good to have this information at the bottom of the folders area. And to do this, we need to go to View and Show Path Bar, and watch what happens when I click that. And you can see the path bar is here. I'll just click here, and you can see it says Macintosh HD, and the other one says 500 GB. So that's good. We know where we are. The next setting I want you to turn on is, and this is for this purpose, if you go to User, and that's my name, Tefl-Dude, you can't see the library folder. Now we may need to look at that at times. We may not, but it's good to be able to see it. If you actually click Command, Shift, and full stop, you can see the hidden folders, and you can see our library folder here. However, I would just rather it was on without all the other stuff being there. So I'll click Command, space, full stop again, let it disappear. And this time go to View and Show View Options. Or you could just click the Command J. That would be simpler, yeah? So do that. Now, here, I can't see where it says library files. what you have to do is go to the left hand side and click the picture of the little house there, Tefl-Dude, and now you can see it says show library folder. So now if I click that, you'll see there's the library folder. Watch, it disappears when I take it away and it arrives when I click it. Also, I like the idea of showing the size of files. That's just a personal thing. So what you can do is, this only happens if you have it on this view. So if I was to go into my documents folder, you can see I have lots and lots of files, but I can't see the size of the folders themselves. So what you could do is click here, calculate all sizes, and look at that. I can see how big those files are. I can see what kind of files are in there. That's 5 gig, that's 8 gig. Oh, it's awesome. Now you may have to do that a few times, because I believe if you go into different folders, that this setting, calculate all sizes, might not be on. So remember the trick, Command J, and it will bring up this view. Okay, so now it's time to make the Symlinks. Now I'm going to use two methods. This first method, I'm going to use the terminal. The second method, we're going to download an app, and it makes things a lot easier. You can choose which one you like. Now, I'm going to have to copy over my GarageBand and Logic Pro files. Now, I have to do this myself. If you only have GarageBand, then you need to do what I'm doing here as well. However, if you download Logic Pro, even as a trial, Logic Pro, the old version, 11, as you can see here, will let you relocate it to the sound library on your hard drive, and it will create the folders, library, application support, and then it will put all the data in there, and you will save gigabytes of space, 80 gigabytes at least. But with this new version 12, it doesn't do that. And in fact, this Logic folder only has a few gigabytes in it. It doesn't have the whole 80 gigabyte like the old version. But then again, like I said, it does it anyway. So this is good for you if you just have GarageBand. You'll have to move it over yourself. So here we go. I'm going to drag over the GarageBand. But before I do that, I have to make the folder structure, because remember, we're going to put in another GarageBand folder that belongs in the music area. So it's good to make that structure. So I'm going to right click, make new folder, and write library. And as you can see, that's why I have this column version out, that the application support also needs going in there. And I'm just going to copy the spelling here, move into the folder here, and Control V. And now I have that folder. As for the GarageBand, we're just going to drag it in. So let's drag that in there. And we'll do the same for the Logic Pro. Okay. Now, what we can do is delete this Logic. And you can leave them in the bin until you're sure everything's working correctly, in case it goes wrong. But trust me, it won't go wrong. Okay, now let's make the links. All you have to do is press Command Space just to get up this spotlight and type in term, which eventually will look like terminal. Click enter. Okay, so now what you have to do is we have to type in a code, and it is ln for link space -s space. Make sure you put that space in. And all you have to do is simply drag in the folder here, and it will put the code down as to where the folder is. Leave everything as it is. Don't click any spaces or anything. Leave it highlighted and simply drag in application support from your main hard drive and try to put it at the end. And you can see it's created a little gap, made the focus of the words. Now press space. And what you need to do is go back 2 spaces till it's touching it and copy the same letters like the / and GarageBand. So Control C, Control V, and now all we have to do is press enter and watch it appear in that folder. Now, this is interesting because it said permission denied. All we have to do to get around that is just type in sudo. I should have told you, but I just wanted to show you because a lot of people use this LNS method and they never tell you about the sudo. So what we're going to do is do it again. Sudo space ln space -s space, and we're going to do the same thing we did as before. GarageBand, then this application support afterwards, space, back 2 spaces, and then just copy that wording again, GarageBand, copy, space. Now watch what happens. I need a password. Ta-da! Did you see it appear? So that's probably what the problem is with many of these things, is that it's locked down, you need your password. So always write sudo. There's no harm in writing sudo. But I just wanted to show you the other way, in case you did that and you've seen people doing it on YouTube. Now we've got to get the other one in. Very easy. Same trick. Don't forget to write sudo lns. So click in here, sudo ln -s space. And the same again, application support, put it at the end. And then we have to copy logic. In fact, if I just do backspace, I can write in logic myself. And enter. And there it is. It's done for us. So now your files are on your hard drive. You don't need this anymore, unless you're going to move other folders of your own, pictures, etc. That is method 1. Now, method 2, I'm going to show you. First of all, let's go to our folder, and that's why we put the items on the menu bar here, music. So I can just go straight there now. Ta-da, there I am. And in my music folder is GarageBand Logic and this library bundle, which is 22 gigabytes. I'm just going to press, just to show you the size of the other files, I'm just going to press Command J to bring this up, and I want it to show me, hopefully I can calculate all sizes here. And I just like to see that now and then. Okay, so there's only 9 megabytes, 2 megabytes, because these are where you save your GarageBand files. The bundle is where the excess is going to go for Logic. Now we're going to make links for this, but remember it's in the music file, so we should make the same structure. Just for our benefit, really, regarding this. New folder, music, and in the music, we're going to drag all of this. And look at that, it's going to take less than a minute to do 22 gigabytes. And that's just using one of these cheap, I think it cost about a tenner, cheap Oracle 10 gigabyte per second hard drive. It is M.2 NVMe hard drive, but really fast. Don't need those special cases unless you're doing photography, video, etc., etc. So there they are. Now, I'm going to show you the second method, which is a lot quicker. Now, for this second method, what we're going to have to do is go to Safari and type in symbolic linker, something like that, and press enter. And it's the second one. Make sure it's GitHub and Nick Zaman. Weird name. So we go to there and we simply click on the DMG file there. So now just go to our downloads folder. I'll go here. There's symbolic linker. Just double click it. Now, don't worry about reading the installation instructions. All you have to do is put this icon in a folder called Services in your library. So let's go back to our hard drive. This is our hard drive. And in the library here, if you have a folder called Services, then you can just put it in there. Let's go to the columnized view. Don't like this view. There should be a folder here called Services. If there's not, you have to make one and then stick that in it. So I'm going to make one here and go to File, New Folder. And call it and just highlight it and write Services. And now in this Services is where you put the symbolic linker, and that's where it will live forever. So close this out. This thing on the right you don't need. Dump that in the bin. And now what happens, let's go back to our music area. Now what happens, these three files, I can make a symlink just like that. Watch this. Go down to the bottom and it says make symbolic link. Okay, we have to open it to allow it to do that. And there you go. Symbolic link, it says. Now it says the same name with Symlink written after it, which we will get rid of once we move it over. Do the same for Logic. Right click. And GarageBand. Right click. Symlink. Now we just have to get rid of these three. And simply drag over the Symlinks. Then all we have to do is remove the word Symlink at the end, otherwise it won't work. And there are our Symlinks. Now just to show you, you can see there's 22 gigabytes there. We could put much more, and I want to show you that it still works. So we're going to look for a file about 2 gigabytes and download it and watch it go into our external folder. So I'm going to open up Logic Pro. This is Logic Pro 12. So if you've never seen it before, it really is amazing. So I'm going to choose a new project, drummer, create. Okay. Now, here, remember before I showed you that image. If I go to sound library here, there is no outlet to be installed on the external. That's why I had to do it myself. But here you can look at the packs, all very nicely made out. And I just want to scroll to the bottom and get something about 2 gigs worth. Let's see. There you go. Alchemy Textures and Effects, 1.9 gig. So we should be up to 22 gig or something like that. So let's press get and go back to my folders. Yeah, it says 22, so we should be going up to 24. So I can close this out, and here if I just click on this, you can see it's being downloaded, and eventually we'll see that 1.5 gig extra be loaded onto the 22.5, so it should be about 24. And there you go, it says 23.96, almost 24. So you can see it does work. It goes straight to your external hard drive. So that's that for the Logic Pro. Okay, so now we've done the two methods of the Symlinks, but we haven't mentioned aliases yet and why we should use them or why we shouldn't. Now, the thing with these GarageBand Symlinks, so what would happen is if I were to make another folder like this, and then I were to pop GarageBand in there, see, automatically it just went white, said I can't find GarageBand anymore, you moved it. So remember, if you are going to move them to a different hard drive, you're just going to have to make fresh Symlinks. It's not the end of the world. So watch, I'll put it back. And then double click again. And we're back in business. Now, the only reason you'd use an alias, and maybe for your own folders and that, is that if I make an alias, I can put it wherever. I'll just show you that quickly. Let's choose, let's remove the GarageBand here. This one. Let's remove that. And this time, I'm just going to make an alias with this. And if you right click, you can make an alias right here. They look the same as the Symlinks, but watch this now. I'll move this alias into here. Just get rid of that. So now we've got our GarageBand as an alias. Now watch what happens when I put it into this folder this time. Put it here, okay? That's our GarageBand. It is no longer here where it was before, but if I double click, it still finds it. You can put that anywhere you like and it will always find it. We could put it back into the folder over here, put it over here, and still go to Logic and there, and it finds it. Doesn't matter where you move it. And you might think, why shouldn't we use that? It's because there is something about Symlinks that they're more hardened to the structure of the system. But if you're not sure, because you look at these two, you think, hey, have I got a Symlink or have I got an alias? How will I know? Well, if we right click this one, which is the alias, and go get info, you can see you've got this long, tall kind of column thing with this item here, select new original. So if you move it somewhere, you can find it this way. However, with Logic, if you do get info, you can see one of the main differences is it's not as tall. The Symlinks just have this smaller area, but they are, like I said, more preferred, more hard and fast, but you have to make sure you don't move the original from where you said it was, or you just make a new Symlink. So that's a little bit of information on Symlinks and aliases. Now for something simple like just moving stuff from your downloads or your documents to free up space, look at all that. There's so much in there, I need to free up that space. What you can do is just, let's say we'll do the downloads, just create a new folder here, but don't give it the same name, no. Give it something similar. And then here you can just put all of your downloads and then you can delete them from here, obviously. So drag them over into our downloads and it's 5 gig and it's going to take 5 seconds. Super fast. And then simply get these here and delete them. And then you've saved some space. Obviously, you'll have to empty the bin in order to do that. So that's all for Symlinks and aliases. Check out the next video where I show you how to move the apps. I was going to include that here, but it's too long, as you can see. But with apps, it works out. It's much better to use aliases than Symlinks. And you'll see why if you watch the video. Should be out in a few days. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe and give this a like, and I'll see you on the next video.